Gavin Robinson, DUP leaders have a reputation for saying no, 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 well maybe. Are you different?
No. No, DUP leaders have a reputation for serving their community, serving their constituents, not being afraid of saying difficult things at difficult times, standing their ground to make sure they can deliver for the people they have had and the people I have the privilege of representing.
But you are different in that you are the first unionist leader under the age of 40. What brings a man of your age into the business of politics, and particularly the binary politics of unionism versus nationalism in Northern Ireland?
So I'm sorry to say that I'll only be able to claim that for a couple of months, and then that will elude me too. And a bit younger than others, but I've been part of this party for the last 20 years. I've been a part of this community for the last 40 years, so having been politicised at a young age just because of the environment in which I grew up and the set-piece negotiations and agreements that were reached throughout my teenage and adult life, that got me interested in politics. But loving my community, loving this space in East Belfast and the people that live around me, my neighbours, projected me into getting involved and making sure that where I have a contribution to make, I make it.
The party that you refer to has had a busy year and a difficult year. It began with the restoration of power sharing, but the Brexit border in the Irish Sea still exists. So what did 2 years of boycotting Stormont actually achieve, Gavin?
We've been able not only to highlight some of the problems but get solutions, and I think I've been very open that where we reached in safeguarding the union was an important milestone, but it certainly didn't solve all of the problems, and nor do we take our eye off those problems. But 3 considerations: could we have got more out of that at that time out of the current Conservative government? And the answer, we concluded after 2 years of negotiations, was that we'd brought it as far as we could. If we held out and we'd waited longer and saw the incoming Labour government, would we have got more? And I think the conclusion of I and my colleagues was no, we wouldn't have achieved what we had achieved at that time. And then thirdly, and importantly for us, when we're privileged to represent people in Northern Ireland, and the modus operandi of unionists more generally is to make Northern Ireland work, our own actions were causing harm in that regard. We weren't able to deliver for the everyday needs of the people that we represent in Northern Ireland, and I was pleased to see a return to devolution.
But that restoration of devolution saw the election of the first nationalist First Minister, Michelle O'Neill. Sinn Féin's the largest party at Stormont, holds most Northern Ireland seats at Westminster now. Does the DUP have its head in the sand about the direction of travel in terms of Irish unity?
So we're Democrats, we recognise the outcome of the election, and in fact we were accused of keeping devolution down because we didn't want to see a First Minister, and remind people day and daily that the office of First and Deputy First Minister, the executive office, is co-joined. It is equal, but the reason why you have a nationalist First Minister is because of the divisions and splits within wider unionism. So that's not for the general public to be overly concerned about, or people from afar across the United Kingdom or in the Republic of Ireland to be concerned about. But for me, as somebody who is interested in the unique relationship we have between Northern Ireland and the rest of the United Kingdom, and to promote the values that bind us together within that union, it's a concern for me. It is wrong to conclude that there has been a large-scale change of constitutional outlook within Northern Ireland, but there has been demographic change between political parties, so we can see that. But back in 1998, the total vote of those voting for nationalist parties has not changed one bit today. It still rests as it did then, 39 and 40%. So no large-scale change, but a reconfiguration of the strength within those blocks. And so not concerned, but no head in the sand. I have a big job of work to do, and as we gather this weekend at our party conference, galvanising my colleagues and supporters and activists within the party, but more importantly, those within our country who recognise just how important it is that Northern Ireland has a powerful part to play within the United Kingdom and benefits greatly from it, that we can maximise that and energise people to see those unique benefits over the course of the next 2.5 years.
And that party conference, as I say, comes at the end of a difficult year for the party. How does a party begin to recover from the fact that a former leader is awaiting trial on historical sex offences?
I remember talking to you that day on Good Friday, and people have commented often about just how visibly shocked we all were at that time and how difficult it has been. But look, over the course of the last number of months, and despite a general election thrown into the mix, I've been incredibly proud of the support that I've received, but more importantly, sometimes it takes a shock to recognise what's important. And colleagues are pulling together, drawing together. So I don't think you will find a conference of deflated colleagues, far from it. I think you will see a sense of renewal and a sense of revival amongst my colleagues and the job of work it is we have to do. And in the last number of weeks and months I've been going around Northern Ireland, I've been talking to colleagues and people in communities right throughout this province, making sure not only that we serve people well, but we reflect their aspirations and their desires for the Northern Ireland that we will build in the future.
The DUP had a very close relationship with the Tory government for a time. That Tory government was accused by others of playing fast and loose with peace. How do you think the Labour government's doing in terms of Northern Ireland?
We've always had a history of working with whoever is in power at Westminster, and we've always had the role of providing opposition in Westminster when it's appropriate. And look, I think, Labour have achieved a significant and monumental supermajority, as it has been called. They have the numbers in Westminster. With strength of numbers comes a great responsibility, not just power to do that which they wish, but to recognise, as previous Labour governments did, that particularly when it comes to Northern Ireland, there is a sense that this place needs to be carefully nurtured. And that means that often, even in the most mundane decisions that need to be taken, they need to be approached carefully, they need to be approached sensitively, and there are nuances that, if to the uninitiated, may seem odd, but if you don't get them right, things can go wrong. So there's a steep learning curve for this Labour government, but we will work with them as we have done over the last couple of months and continue to do so, I hope so, productively in the future.
Gavin Robinson, thank you.